Welcome to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast. In today's episode, we get to listen to Lee Milteer. Now, a lot of times these episodes, which are taken from the Magnetic Marketing courses over the last decade and provided to you for free, they're usually Q&A sessions with an influencer or somebody who's been inside of the magnetic marketing world for a while. This episode, however, is unique and it is special because every once in a while, one of our special speakers actually does Q&A with the audience and supports them. So imagine that you are sitting in the audience for a moment and you have the ability to be able to listen in as Lee Milteer, who is a successful business and life strategist, a speaker, author. She's on TV and radio, award-winning bestseller, and coach. Imagine she is able to coach everybody on all of these different strategies, and you simply just didn't get your question in. But often during these Q&A sessions, it's usually the question you didn't ask that someone else did that is the real game changer. So this episode can be a life-changing moment if you listen well. So let's lean in and listen to Lee Milteer as she discusses the role of self-integrity in wealth creation.
I don't think there's anybody that has had a bigger impact in the field of direct response than Dan Kennedy.
The legend of Dan Kennedy should be ignored at your own peril.
They're not really lessons, they're kind of laws that you live by.
Dan opened my eyes to what small business marketing looks like.
Dan teaches strategic direct response that is timeless.
His ripple effect touches people who don't even know his name.
The world as we know it was changed because Dan Kennedy became obsessed with marketing.
Welcome to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast with your host, Dan Kennedy.
There's a quote here I want you to pay attention to. A target is your creative vision for your life and business in the future. You must break out of your current comfort zone, become comfortable with the unfamiliar and the unknown to reach these targets. The purpose of implementation coaching is to move you from thinking to doing, because we're going to talk about wealth thinking and hitting your targets. Are you in the top 3%? Probably not. I hope that you will be. But only 3% of the world actually sets goals. Because to be honest with you, goal setting sounds so boring. How many of you did New Year's resolutions? Okay, great. How long do they usually last? 13 days. 13 days, very good. Thank you very much, Sean. The average person's New Year's resolutions last usually less than 5 days. And I have a couple of friends who own gyms. And they have this massive amount of people who come and join, and I go, well, aren't you worried about being crowded? And they go, no, by February 1st. I mean, like, that's all gone. So it's very interesting how we all have fabulous intentions. However, we have normally very bad follow-up. But I'm going to talk about wealth creation. And the first thing I'm going to really talk about with you is, so again, take all the notes you like. For you to have wealth, you have to have a serious picture and clarity of what wealth means to you. How many of you have studied the brain, the conscious mind, subconscious information? All right. We are primarily run by our subconscious mind. And the average person doesn't understand that. You think that you're actually run by your conscious mind. So if you can imagine this, you're going through your life and consciously you want certain things, but you're actually being run by this part of yourself, your subconscious mind, who has been programmed by everything you've ever heard, read, seen, or been exposed to while you were still actually in the womb. So your whole life, every sense you have, physical, auditory, visual, touching, every sense that you have is recording information all the time. So that's your computer. Your subconscious mind can hold more information than all the libraries put together. So when you were a kid, if you heard, like I did, growing up, and my parents were poor, I heard all kinds of things like, the bank may take the farm, or, we're not sure where we're going to get the money, and all kinds of fearful poverty programming that, you don't think that your kids hear, but every single one of us has heard something that has affected our self-esteem about what we can do, either being a female or a male, where parts of the country you're from, who you are, has affected you. So I spent a great deal of my life proving to myself that I was good enough. Does that make sense? I had a very low self-esteem of myself. I won't bore you with that long story, but it is a very important thing that you have to know, that there are things running you that you are making decisions about that you're not aware of. And so real wealth is determined by the clarity. So you have to understand how much money you get in advance is based upon your marketing and management plans with your pre-scheduled actions and initiatives. So if your subconscious has been programmed that I'm disorganized, I don't understand marketing, and even though you think you consciously understand it, or people don't understand me, anything that is incongruent, all of a sudden you may be working really hard and not getting the results that you want. So before I started my career, I literally spent all this time reading about how other people became successful. And most of what I read really was about the internal part. Hence the title of my book, Success is an Inside Job. The reason we're doing the inner work, the introspective work first, is we're going to lay down this foundation, which is sometimes arduous for people. It's harder to do the inside work than it is the outside work. We can all go write stuff and be very busy because we have a comfort zone of being very busy. We're like the gerbils. As long as we're moving, something's happening. But the problem is a lot of stuff that you're doing is wasted stuff. So we've got to get down to the core of what are the bugaboos, what are the little viruses in your computer system right now. So one of the things you have to ask yourself is, what is it that you truly want? What does wealth really mean to you? What is not only just the number? Because, I mean, if you go to a Glaser-Kennedy thing, and this is a Glaser-Kennedy thing, it's always about the numbers. And there is a disease in Glaser-Kennedy, and the disease is competitiveness. Have you noticed? And that is, you go to these events, and do you come back feeling like, I'm just not doing enough? Does everybody feel that way? I'm just not earning enough. I'm not out there enough. I don't have enough PR. I don't have enough products out there. I'm not making as much money as everybody else is making. Who's feeling all this? Okay. In some ways, I think that's designed to make you feel that way. Yes? Maybe. When you go to an environment that's about learning, they have to put you in an environment, and this is not just Glaser-Kennedy, it's everybody, if you really look at the depth of it, it's to make you feel just insecure enough that you will actually get off your ass and do something. Yes? If it's an academic, and I know people are in academic is all about the grades, yes? You know, I got an A. All right, let me tell you, I didn't get a lot of A's in school. I got a lot of C's in school because I only did enough just to not get on restriction from my parents. That was my motivation. The A's I got were in art because art was fun. You know, it was just fun. If you were just a good person, you made an A in art almost. But I want us to get really clear about what kind of programming that you've had and what you're going to do, what kind of clear vision that you want to get all of your conscious mind and your subconscious working in tandem with each other. We have to have congruent behavior. One of the things that all of us have to have is self-imposed discipline. And see, entrepreneurs are very bad about that. We're very bad because we like the fast fix. Because you're asking yourself, what can I do to make money? That's the number one question you ask yourself, yes? What's the number one thing I can do to make money? It's a very good question. And by the way, we think in questions. But we have to now, today, go into the questions of what is it that I'm doing that's actually preventing me from making money? What are my habits? What are my mindsets? What are my behaviors that are not congruent with the place that I want to be? The outside world is always affecting the way our productivity is because we're influencers. Yes, we are so easily influenced. It's scary. we will start buying into the outside perception a lot faster than we will admit. Fashion, ladies, fashion is a great way. You see fashion in magazines and you go, my God, that is the ugliest thing I have ever seen. 3 years later, you have one of those things in your closet. Because the mass consciousness makes something approved and appreciated and valued, and before you know it, you own one. Guys aren't quite as susceptible as women are. But guys are susceptible to what I call the exercise machines and those things. They're always, the new workout thing. The big joke I believe about most of the workout expensive machines, if you would just go buy a coat rack, it will serve the same purpose. You can hang your stuff on it. It's $40. It's a lot cheaper than the machine. Anyway, that aside. So what other behaviors are not congruent with the actual goal that you have?
The other one, the biggest one, the one I'm always working on is who I want to work with and getting rid of the people that I'm just don't want to work with. That's the biggest, my biggest hurdle is doing what Dan says. Sometimes you just have to fire somebody. That's the biggest one because of being a realtor, being an investor, running an investor group. I have a lot of people that are always bombarding you with that stuff. And it's hard sometimes to say, you know what, you're full of shit, get out of my meeting. Get out of my group. And that's my biggest one ever, and I talk about it all the time, both ways. So that's one of my biggest, between the outside influences and having to deal with people that, one, don't fit the same goals I do, and aren't interested in results. They're more interested in complaining and being part of the group that does nothing but complain. That's my biggest issues.
Okay, so would we say a solution here for you is to start focusing and marketing and specifically intending those type of customers that you want, and then letting the other ones, what I call, die off easily from lack of attention? As a speaker, every once in a while, I will get a know-it-all or someone who's disruptive. By the way, when I did public seminars, surprisingly, the biggest know-it-all hecklers were other speakers. And you know why? They were looking for attention. And they were constantly interrupting and adding their statistics to things. And I learned to stop feeding them by stop even acknowledging that they were in the room. They became invisible. They could be jumping up and down on the table. I wouldn't give them sight or energy or anything until they got tired and went away. Now, you have to find your own vision of how to do that. And one of the ways that complainers, in particular, if you don't listen to their complaints, they will go to talk to someone else who will give them and feed them attention. So, again, what we're trying to do is use examples here so you can figure out in your life how you're not getting to your wealth goals because of your own behavior. Because here's the truth. You're not where you want to be because of you. It is not the economy, and it's not the marketing. It is not the gizmo that you have. It's not anything external. When you really study successful people, it is always some little belief, habit, behavior, something within yourself that holds you back, that you are blind to, you have amnesia about, or you're just not willing to look at. And by asking you directly, it's painful. It's painful. I've been in these, questions. So what are you doing that's preventing you from being where you want to be? And it's painful. And we tend to, as entrepreneurs, don't like pain. So we want to we gravitate towards where we feel rewarded, where we feel, somebody's patting you on the back, because that's who we are. So that is our Achilles heel. Our Achilles heel as entrepreneurs is we like approval because we get so much of it from the things that we do that where we're not succeeding, we can hide because we can put on the illusion, right? It's not like you work for a job and you've got to produce so much stuff, and if you don't produce it at the end of the day, they're going, well, you needed to produce 872 things and you only produced 600 and you're not doing your job. Nobody can tell that about us. So we lie to ourselves. And then when I tell you I'm going to make you uncomfortable, I'm serious. I'm going to make you uncomfortable. Because if I don't make you uncomfortable, why did you come here? This isn't about teaching. This is about really getting into your stuff, about what is it you are not doing, not facing, not addressing right now that's holding you back from that level. And by the way, you have all kinds of excuses. There seems to be a lot of people with lots of kids here and kids on the way and kids that just arrived and all that stuff. Entrepreneurs have, I have to take the pet out, or I'm just going to throw a load into the wash machine, or, the kids are, this, or somebody needs this, or somebody needs that. It's very easy to get off our track. You are looking in the mirror at your results every day, and it's not the economy. And that's been everybody's catchphrase. I even caught myself recently actually saying that. The economy is, and then I was like, oh my God. I even fell into that trap momentarily because of people I was hanging around. Hey, Mike?
I'll take a little advice. You were saying behaviors that are causing problems. The biggest behavior that I have problems with is getting important work done as far as urgent work. In other words, when the heat's not on, then my self-discipline to say, okay, this has got to be done by, maybe we'll do it in the morning, and I've gotten better at it over the years, but I'm still not, I still have a hard time with it. I still struggle with it, literally on a daily basis. Okay. Where I know I need to do something, I know it needs to get done, but the heat's not on to get it done. So, at the end of the night, I'd rather go, I got 3 hours worth of work to do and it's 9 o'clock, and yeah, I should do the work, but man, I'm awful tired. Maybe I'll just get up early and do it in the morning, which of course never happens. And then it's right back to the next, to the next thing. Well,
we all have that. And by the way, at 9 o'clock at night, I'm fried. I'm not going to do it, and there are days that I'll push myself to do work, but you have to know your own limitations. My best work is done in the morning, so I arrange. And I live on East Coast time. I get up between anywhere from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., depending. By the way, it's not that I want to get up at that time. I just naturally, my brain cuts on, I wake up. Also, if I get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I have my cup of coffee, I can actually do more creative work and more what I call truthful work than I can in the afternoon when everybody's pulling on you. So, and the other thing I do is I don't wait for other people to do the deadlines for me. I do those for myself. Working with the new GKIC, I have pushed a lot of their staff to give me information way long before it's due from them, because my goal is things are due 3 weeks before they're due. Okay, so for instance, the workbook that you see here, the new GKIC, in my contract with them, says that they're supposed to see the workbook before it is published, like a week before we come here. I got it to them 3 weeks before. Now, I knew they were going to approve of it because it's damn good, okay? All right? I wasn't worried about that. I wanted that off my plate. So what I do is do I have a 3-week thing if possible. That's not always possible, but this is because I juggle so many things and so many businesses. If I'm not ahead of schedule, what happens for me is the Murphy's Law is alive and well and does happen. I actually named my dog Murphy because of this very reason. Because if I wait to the last minute to start the project, something bad will happen. The dog will have to go to the vet, family emergency, client emergency, staff doesn't show up, something bad happens. I am addicted to being on time because one of the things that is a wealth magnet is that people trust you. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. But if you really want a wealth magnet, and that's what we're going to talk about, you do it before they need it. Therefore, they have a sense of relief. I have a company called Millionaire Smarts. It's a coaching company, which is an actual done for you for other people who are coaches who don't do any kind of mindset materials. What I do is every month supply everything that they need for their company. It's you take my materials, you fit it right into your stuff, and you deliver it. So we do my stuff like 2 months in advance because there's so much going on. But I started this company 8 years ago. I have some of the same clients I started with 8 years ago. And the reason being is because they are totally relaxed and they know Lee's stuff will always be there on time and early. I can relax. I never have to worry about it. You're a lawyer, right? No. Who's the lawyer? You're the lawyer. Okay, sorry. I read recently that the number one complaint about lawyers from the bar associations, failure to return client goals. Failure to do what they said they were going to do. Always. Okay, so there's an integrity level here that we're talking about. And I'm jumping around because I'm getting a feel of the audience. Here's the challenge with our integrity. Personal integrity. Except the fitness people here who are beautifully fit, I would say everyone in this room, including myself, has said at some time, hey, Monday morning, hey, that exercise program is starting. And I'm going on that very clear, good eating diet thing. Monday morning rolls around, the alarm goes off, and you're very enthusiastic Saturday and Sunday how you're going to start that Monday morning, but Monday morning you're just not feeling that good, I can't do it today. I'll do the exercise later. And then, you go to a meeting and they got that donut there and, oh, well, I'll start tomorrow, okay? Or Tuesday. And we've all done it. Now, here's the bottom line why this is costing you money and your wealth. When you break integrity with your own word to you, it's detrimental because now you have no belief in yourself. You have no faith in yourself because you've proven so many daggone times that you've lied to yourself.
You know, it's funny. I've actually said to myself, okay, I'm going to do that. And then a little voice inside my head says, hey, you're lying.
You're lying.
You're not going to do it.
Okay, so can you...
I've actually had that happen in my head. Yes,
of course. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Sure, you're going to stop that diet program tomorrow. All right, I want to tell you how, as a wealth magnet, if I promise that I'm going to write a sales letter, and I don't write it, then how do I feel about myself? I feel a slight bit of failure. I'm disappointed. But what a cumulative effect as human beings is that disappointment, that failure, that not belief in yourself, that has some, you don't think it has a toll on you, but it has this huge cumulative effect on your ability to create wealth, because when it takes that time to take that really big risk to do something, like you want to start using all these degrees that you have instead of doing pharmacy, and you want to create that program for wrestlers. When you two, and I'm not picking on you, but I know I can remember your stories. When you two have to now take that big step of, I'm now going to put money in this, I'm going to quit that job, I'm going to go, get it all done, I'm going to go out there. There's this huge hesitancy, yes? And you know why? Because we've lied to ourselves so long about what we're going to do that we now may do it, but instead of jumping into the whole deep end of the pool, we stick our toe in the pool. And we wiggle it around to see if there's, if it's a good temperature, or can I go in there? Well, have you noticed that the universe never gives you those good signs when you do that? Success is like small effort gives small results. But if you've lied to yourself so daggone much about what you will do in your own integrity, then you energetically do not have what I call the magnetic attraction for other people to feel comfortable to do business with you. Are you tying it all together, what I'm saying? So when I started the Millionaire Smarts business, And like Chris is, by the way, Chris and Everett are both contributors as faculty members to my Millionaire Smarts business. And you can count on to the day when my stuff is going to show up, which means that sometimes we have to work weekends and my staff has to work extra or late at night to make those daggone dates. Because I never want my clients to ever have a hint that I'm going to be an hour late, because then not only do they open it up, oh, we pay her a lot of money, and I'm not sure I can trust myself anymore, and other people can do the same thing, or oh, God forbid, we do it ourselves. So I understand the importance of integrity, and that is a big. When I'm doing one-on-one coaching, that is the number one the Achilles heel that I find with every entrepreneur. Is they have integrity with other people, but not with themselves. Okay, so if you rate yourself right now on a 1 to 10, and you just write this down, don't tell me, don't tell anybody. On 1 being lousy, 10 being fantastic, what is your level of integrity with yourself? Because this is going to tell you volumes about why you're not earning the money you want to earn. And when I first learned this about myself, I was a little surprised, because I fooled myself, I deluded myself, I lied to myself about my own integrity with myself, about doing things. Now I realize I'm not promising my Monday morning exercise program. I've learned not to do that, okay? I have learned not to do that, because if I can't trust me, I'm not going to have that energetic. Now, Edison and Einstein talked about the fact that everybody's brain was a broadcasting radio. If you read Think and Grow Rich, and by the way, the book Think and Grow Rich should have never been titled Think and Grow Rich. It should have been titled How to Think and Grow Rich. Because thinking alone will not make you rich. Because I live in Virginia Beach, Virginia, the metaphysical capital of space cadets in the world, okay? And I think people think they can just think and magic money is going to just pop out of somewhere. I'm like, do you have a leprechaun in the backyard or something? Because that ain't going to happen. I spent a whole year thinking, and I just got in debt. So it's a combination of thinking and then action. So it's really a matter of what is your integrity level with yourself, and what are you going to do very, very different about that. And what that really means is you're going to stop making commitments to yourself that you won't keep. So the first commitment you're going to all make right now is, I refuse to make a promise that I actually will not keep. So you got to get out of what I call the delusion and illusion reality. So could you now quickly, to yourself, because we're going to do a lot of internal work, really list on paper where you've been an illusion and delusionary about what you're going to do, that you're lying to yourself about. There's a lot of things in life I know I'm never going to do. I'm never going to be a great cook. I like to order, okay? Why should I be a great cook? I can order stuff. I'm a great orderer. But you know how you buy books and they put up on your shelf, and I'm going to get around to reading that, and then you have the book becomes like dust because you're never going to read it? You've really got to go through your life and start cleaning up those tales of illusions. You got to get clear of things you're going to do and things you're not going to do. What is it you keep promising yourself, or what is your excuse that I'm going to do but you never get around to doing? You're out of integrity with yourself. Because there's a solution for it. It's called outsourcing. Either giving up that or outsourcing it. There are dreams that we all have. A friend of mine said recently, she's had 3 kids, she said, I have to give up the dream that I'm going to be a size 4 again. That's not going to happen. My hips are already beyond size 4 from having so many children. I got her to give up the belief that she was going to get into size 4 clothes again because she wasn't willing to do the work to get into size 4 clothes. She wasn't willing to exercise. She wasn't willing to diet. So I said, okay, well, embrace who you are, but be truthful with yourself. And it's okay. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect. But at least be honest with yourself. Any questions? There's 4 fundamental things to improve to attract wealth. They are the quality of your personal philosophy, the quality of your thinking, the quality of your behavior, and the quality that you create in whatever value you are exchanging for wealth in the world. So if you want to have more money, you have to create more value for people. So let's just talk about those things really quickly. So the quality of your personal philosophy. Does anybody have any thoughts about their own personal philosophy that is holding you back? Things like the rich always get richer, the poor always get poorer, the lucky people, any of those kind of programming? Anybody have that? I don't deserve this? Yes. You have that? Sure. Okay. You have to analyze what are the again, what we're talking about is what's holding you back as a wealth magnet. Because, by the way, how many of you have read Dan's book? If you haven't read this book, I recommend it. Wealth Attraction. You read it? Okay. Everybody write this one down. You need this book. It's very inexpensive. It was written in 2006, but it's still up to date. Your personal philosophy. So I grew up on the farm ranch. My father literally was this intuitive, smart guy, but was a really bad businessman because he didn't understand. He wouldn't put any effort in. He was all about the nature. He was all about working on the farm and the ranch and the animals. He was all about the thing. He wasn't about actually how to increase his wealth, because he never had gotten the reference in his head that you had to be a good business person also. So when you grow up like that, you see what you came from. So I overcompensated from having that background to now trying to be very, very aware of how people think, what your philosophy is. And the reason being is we're self-fulfilling prophecies. So if you think you don't deserve something, on some level, you'll do really, really well, and as you're very close to getting it, you'll sabotage it unconsciously. Because we're run by our subconscious mind. If you can imagine this, your conscious mind is 1% of your power, and your subconscious mind is 99% of your power. And you've got to get out. And the bad programming are like viruses, where you've seen people do this all the time. They get so close to success, and then they blow it. So there'll be... For instance, I just interviewed architects for my new house, and I'm working with this guy, and I like him. He's saying all the nice things. He has this great energy. He shows me all these fabulous things, and I'm relaxing into him, and I'm thinking, this is the guy. And so I give him all the signals that I want to work with him, but he never stops selling. He pushes and pushes and pushes to the point that I got so turned off, I'm not using the guy. And I thought, oh my gosh, because I walked into that meeting thinking this was the guy. So he's totally sabotaged himself. He didn't watch body language. He didn't notice the quality of questions. He didn't stop selling when it was way past. How many times have you done that? I remember when I first got in the speaking business, and I had a meeting with a group from the phone company. And I remember this clearly. It was a great lesson to me. And I needed the job. I needed it bad. I mean, it was between eating and not eating. And so I got this opportunity, and they asked me about what I was going to do. And so I launched into the speech at the table in front of, like 8 people. And I'm pushing and pushing and pushing. And I started watching them start to shrink. Get less interested and less interested. And I don't know what happened. And I went to the ladies' room, and one of the women who was at it, she said to me, "You're blowing the sale. You're desperate for the sale. You've got to back down. You've got to watch signals." And I came back, and I forced myself to shut up and listen and ask questions versus pushing. I was sabotaging myself. And so, we all do that. You've got to start recognizing that that, we are attractors to things. And the more we push on things, and when we're pushing, it's because we're afraid. Fantasized experiences appearing real. We're afraid we're not going to get it. And all of you have experienced that, right? Where you've pushed so hard, you've lost the sale. Okay, there's an insecure belief there. Are you with me on that? So we've all done that? So the real secret of selling is to shut up, stop selling yourself, and simply start asking questions what the person needs, and then answer those questions. Then they feel comfortable with you. No one responds well to being pushed that service, and we all do it. So the philosophy of you have to push things on people, that will hurt you. All right, the next one, the quality of your thinking. What would you say is the percentage of, a lot of people don't believe in positive thinking, but since you're the subtotal of all your thoughts, and you don't just think with your eyes, you actually literally, you don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. And so your thoughts turn into pictures. Your brain is filled with references. So if you want to have wealth attraction, you have to have wealth references. So what are your wealth references? And, what are you doing on a regular basis for the quality of your thinking? So people make fun of positive mental attitude, but have you been around someone who's very excited and enthusiastic and they're all positive and you feel good? Yes? And then you're around someone who's just bitching, moaning, complaining and you feel bad? Okay, well, you already have your test there. So if you want to have more wealth in your life, I want you to start monitoring what you say and the energy that you put out. So just as Paul was saying, he has people who he's attracting that are bitching, moaning, and complaining. By the way, bitching, moaning, and complaining people love to hang around together. They feel good together. I call them in the same vibration, very low. People who have high energy, high positive thoughts tend to group together. Who we are, by the way, if you really want to know your wealth, see who you hang around. It's a quality of literally the level that you will achieve. If you're hanging around poor, broke people, you're destined to be poor and broke because that's the level that you get to. So how do you improve the quality of your thinking? Is one, have the conscious awareness of it. Is, when I get up early in the morning, one of the things that I do is I read something that inspires me. I'm a reader, so I either listen to something or I just get what I call a clearing. Every morning, I clear all the negative thoughts out of my mind, and I give myself, I'm open to the possibility of something that inspires me. Now, some people like Zig Ziglar, I heard his name mentioned, some people like Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer. Everybody has a person that when you listen to them, you feel uplifted. So we get out of the habit of making sure that is built into our life. Right, for exercise people, when you exercise, you get endorphins. And once you get used to that, you don't like to live without those endorphins. So you've got to figure out what it is to be a wealth attractor that you have let dropped or put by the wayside and pick that back up. We all have great habits that somehow fall by the wayside. So here's the question. At the most prosperous time in your life, when you were making the most money, what were the habits that you were doing that were feeding that prosperity? So for a lot of people, 2007, 2008 were, some of their big prosperous times, especially in real estate. You got to ask yourself, what were you doing? Now, by the way, it was very easy to be prosperous in 2008. I mean, idiots could be prosperous in 2008. I mean, it's like money was just like manta from the sky. Wealth attractors are, you've got to identify where you're helping yourself and where you're hurting yourself. So when you don't feel worthy, you're having a conversation in your head of, oh, this isn't going to work out, or I'm not worth this, or they're not going to like that, or, I'm doing music and people aren't into music, or maybe people aren't into, going to church. You got all the reasons why, okay? We're self-fulfilling prophecies. When I became a professional speaker, I used to say to myself, I, Lee Miltier, now I'm a great speaker. Little voice going, liar, liar, pants on fire. We've seen you speak. Not so much. But if I'm going to become something, I have to assume it before I get there. So when I was in sales, before I would go in to make the sale, I would literally, you all know about visualization and mental rehearsal, I would mentally take the time to sit in my car for 2 or 3 minutes, and I would tell myself, oh, it was as if it was already done. That was a great interview. I had fun there. They liked me. And I would see this end result of it being positive. So I call it pre-living a situation. So when I went in to make the sales presentation, I had seen the end results. For instance, in sports, we always imagine the end results. It improves the physical performance. It's the assumptive close, I call it. The assumptive close, you're going to already do well. It gives you confidence. And the reason I tell you that is because confidence is one of the strongest wealth attractors there are. Because again, 90% of the world are followers, and each and every one of us is a follower in certain situations. If I was going to a plastic surgeon, and here, what do you think? I'm asking his opinion. He's the leader. He knows more than I do. I'm looking for assurance that I'm making the right decision in a certain thing, right? If I'm needing, help to fulfill something, and I'm on the fence of, do I really want to spend this money to do that? I'm looking for that person to give that I'm going to. That person has to have confidence. And if you're not paying attention to your inner dialogue and your inner pictures and your inner expectations and your intentions before you go in, you're kind of screwed. Because 80% of our thoughts on an average day are negative. Can you imagine what they are on a bad day? If 80% on a regular day isn't that good? Because we fall into the worldwide view of what we're exposed to. Okay, so another question you got to ask yourself is, what are you doing every day to attract new business? Dan talks about this, he talks about this relentlessly. Is every single day something should be done to attract new business. So when we were putting this program together and trying to figure out what we're going to do, one of the first things I thought of is I want a resource table. So you've gotten something done today if you put something on that table. As silly as that may appear, every day an email, a blog, something has to be done towards your goal. You're trying to create this. How many people want to do information products? Raise your hand. Okay, so how about if we did this? If you got up 30 minutes earlier every morning, and by the way, in 21 days, it wouldn't feel like a pressure, and you got up and you had your coffee and did whatever ritual to get yourself going, and you took 30 minutes every day towards that information product, where you wrote something. Now, I shared with you a hint while ago. I don't know if you heard it. A book is nothing but a bunch of sentences which turn into paragraphs, which there are great editors who can put together. Yes? Okay? I paid my editor the first time, it was $17 an hour. And boy, did she have her work cut out for her. She moved, she was like, I don't know where the hell this goes, but we'll put it somewhere. And I wrote all the stuff. She was able to figure out, let's put all this stuff together. It makes a great makes a great chapter, and then we'll put all this stuff together. And somehow she magically got it together. And it just flowed beautifully. You see, the one thing I've learned in life is I don't have to be great at everything. I am not the greatest speller on the universe. Thank God for spell check. For all you people who are great in English class, I was playing hooky. And I am a big believer I can hire it. That's why I have been and created wealth. Because I don't depend on Lee Miltier to do everything. I depend on Lee Miltier to have the vision, to see it, and then with the belief. And here's another belief that has helped me. If other people can do it, I can do it if I want to. See, and here's where the delusion. See, we think you can do your books, and you can fulfill, and you can get product out. You cannot do these things. You came to Earth with some talents. capitalize on those talents and then try to get other people to do the thing to help you. And if you're good negotiators, you can usually get people to do things. Like in the beginning of my career, I traded things. Whatever I could do, I would trade with people just to try to get some traction and some momentum going. See, because I grew up in this environment where there are no options. When you live on a ranch and a farm, things have to be done. There aren't no options. I can do it tomorrow. There are animals that are hurt that have to be taken care of, or there's huge rainstorms coming. We have to go and work all night to get those crops in before the crops drowned, or we will have lost our whole year's worth of work. I grew up with this. There are no options. You will get it done. So I have a belief. Now these are chosen beliefs. Whatever I have to do, I have the ability and the resources to figure out how to do it. And the reason I have that is because I've learned that questions, if I ask myself questions, what is the most effective, efficient way that I can get this done? I have this wonderful thing called intuition, which you all have, which if I ask the right question and then I'm silent, the answer will come. Now, it may come by having a conversation with you, and you say, Walter says something, and I go, oh my gosh, that's the answer. Why didn't I think of that? It's like right in front of my face. I've watched movies that have answers. Reading a book has an answer. The funnies in the newspaper, Ann Landers is filled with answers. Books are filled. Sometimes I will go into my library and I'll say, I need information. What book should I look at? And I'll just feel towards a book. And I swear to God, this is true. I can oftentimes pick up a book and open it anywhere, and there will be an answer. Now, I didn't originate that. I'm telling you and sharing something that people like Napoleon Hill did, and Claude Bristol from The Magic of Believing, who I learned it from. He said, if you're really focused, the universe has an amazing way of bringing you answers if you open yourself to that. But we are the ones, when we look in the mirror, who have held ourselves back from creating the information product, from finding out what you really want to do because you keep doing busy work. There are no excuses, folks. This is it. You are it. This is your movie, your life, your thing. And it's the beliefs that are deep down that you have about yourself. So I overcompensated from a poor person with low self-esteem, with no support from my family, to self-taught, bad student in school, learning about wealth and prosperity, and then having the cojones, or however you say that, to just step out into the world and try it, and fail a lot, by the way. We'll be days here to tell you all my failures, days and days. However, every failure I ever had brought me closer to my success. Because I learned nope, I'm not going to do that anymore, or I really screwed up there. I really misjudged something, or I didn't have integrity with myself, or whatever it is. But I'm going to share with you something important. There is no yesterday. There is no yesterday. It's all now just part of your memory system. The only thing, and there is no tomorrow. That is part of your imagination. The only thing there really is this second. It's now. It's alive now. So for all of you who are beating yourself up man, I should have gotten that information product out last year. There is no last year. That's just a memory. And, in the future I'm going to do something. That's just your imagination. That's all the future is. What is important is the physical action you take right now to actually start something, to implement things that you want to do. Again, because my husband got killed, this changed my paradigm of life, because he lived from we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do the other. And I remember at his funeral thinking, we didn't do those things. We did not do those things. And I'm so mad at you because we didn't do those things. Because we was all gonna. And he's dead. And I can't do them. And so I was very angry for a long time about that because it was all about promises, what we're going to do. I don't do that now. I'm pretty much, you want to do it? Let's do it now. Which, by the way, my husband really likes that. Because I'm pretty much like, we make a decision, let's make that trip now. Don't wait. Let's enact on that now. Because I have lived this great wild adventure of a life, but I have no idea when that's over. And I really, at my end of it all, if there is anything as a life review, if there is such a thing, I want to be one of these people like, hey man, I did sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I had fun. I did it all. I had a wild adventure of a life. Because that's really what we're here for. It's not to be waiting for things. And by the way, there's no such thing as security. If you want security, go to prison, because that's where all the security is. Security is really only in the sense as an entrepreneur, is that I can figure out what to do in any situation because I'm resourceful. I can figure out what to do in any situation because I'm resourceful. See, can you see how belief systems affect all of your wealth? So when I've studied success, the common denominator I've studied for every single person is they deliberately chose belief systems to adapt. Just like the clothes you wear, you chose this combination of clothes. So they rejected most of the obsolete, outdated beliefs that your parents, society had given us. Now, this is 2012. The other night I got up, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep, and I was not going to get up quite early. When I went downstairs, I flipped on the TV, and there was this NBC, what is it? CNBC, thank you. Had this whole thing on 2012. The end of the earth. I could not stop laughing. Because it's the most hilarious, ridiculous, small-minded, are you idiots people that the Mayan calendar, hey, here's what the Mayans did. We're finished with that page. We need a new calendar. The world is not coming to an end, you idiots out there. However, we live in a world of people who are so incapable of thinking that there are people, entrepreneurs, who are capitalized on fear, who are making millions and millions of dollars selling fear to other people. Now, I'm not judging them. They're smart. I don't morally agree with it. I don't think it's right, but I'm not judging, but I'm judging, okay? I was so fascinated with the people who wrote the books on, 2012 and the movies, and there are radio all-night talk shows who were just spewing all this stuff about, the end of the world. Now, there was some religious guy last May, I'm sure you saw it in the papers, who talked about the end of the world, and, Then, he was so embarrassed it wasn't, and he said, oh, I got that wrong, it'll be in 17 days. Yeah, good luck with that. So we get to choose what we believe, but right now, the point that I have made here, I hope you got, is your life is really created by the beliefs that you have. And we have all kinds of bad beliefs we're not aware of. For instance, my mother used to say something to the effect of, when your ship comes in, her thing was like, if our ship came in, I would be at the bus station. Okay? Both of my parents had poverty consciousness. They grew up with fear and anguish and always afraid. They were always under the belief that the world had control over them. I rejected both of those beliefs and chose to believe that you creating your own reality by your actions and your thoughts, because it's the perception that you see out of that is going to determine which actions you take. So if you have the belief that I can always I will always be resourceful with no matter what goes on, I don't enter the world afraid. I enter the world confident. That means people come to me. Since I've been a professional speaker, I have been so successful. I have never advertised. I do not promote myself. It all comes to me. Because I am a magnet, and I chose to be, of believing that I have something valuable to say. Not everybody's going to like you. When I did public seminars, you could have 600 people there. This is a true statement. 5% of the audience will dislike you and hate you. 5%. God could be on stage. 5%. Not so good, God. You're not cutting it. Okay? Don't like what you have on today, God. Don't like your accent. Don't like your bleached hair. Don't like any of that, okay? Don't like you. And they don't like you for all kinds of weird reasons. For example, this woman got really furious at me one day, and I said, just all due respect, I'm just on stage. What are you so mad about? You look like the woman my husband left me for. Okay, you can leave now and your money's in the back. I have no control over other people. And all of you have a story like that in some way, that somebody doesn't like you for something. You can't take it personally. So, what are your beliefs that are holding you back? I'm really trying to get you into understanding it's that introspection that will have big dollar value for you if you just change that a little bit. On the bottom of the page, focus on what you want to create, not what you don't want. You get what you focus on. Poverty thinking brings poverty. Wealth thinking brings wealth. We're self-fulfilling prophecy. What are you focusing on right now, good or bad? Most of you are focusing on that the media has convinced you it's a bad economy, bad time to start something. So if we just joked about 80% of your thoughts on an average day are negative, how can you ever attract more clients and more ideas and more things if you're really focused on what you don't want? See, it's interesting when we marry someone, we're in love with them, we focus on all the good things, and then after we marry them, we pick them apart on what's wrong with them. We flip. We do the same thing about when we go into a business. A lot of people focus on, this is why I want to be in this business. And you're a doctor. So I'm not picking on you, but every doctor in the room thought, I wanted to be a doctor until you became a doctor, and then it was all these complaints and difficulties. Anybody relate to that? The difficulties of it? So we tend to share with people when you have when you talk to someone, what do you talk about? I'm going to guess you talk about what's not happening in your life. Yes? Anybody relate to that? Okay? So let's switch that. As of today, your homework assignment is the old saying, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all. And talk about what's working. The whole concept of gratitude and appreciation is a great wealth magnet.
Thank you for listening to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast with Dan Kennedy. If you love hearing in on these lost Dan Kennedy talks and speeches and calls, then please let someone else know about this podcast. That's how you can help it to grow. And the more it grows, the more free Dan Kennedy we can bring to you. Also, Dan would love to give you the most incredible free gift ever, designed to help you make maximum money in minimum time. Now, this free gift comes with almost $20,000 in pure money-making information for free just for saying maybe. You can get this gift from Dan right now at nobsletter.com. Not only will you get the $20,000 gift, you're also going to get a subscription to 2 marketing newsletters that will be hand-delivered by the mailman to your mailbox each and every month. One from Dan Kennedy and one from me, Russell Brunson. To get this gift and your subscription, go to nobsletter.com right now.